My name is Ryan Marshall. This is Tom Ela with Ela Financial Group. We are in our second part of the series on a topic that a lot of people don't talk about, and that is the data. Who owns the data? What does the data really mean? How does it affect clients? How does it affect your business? What are your thoughts on data?
If you don't own the data and you move firms or you sell the practice or you do all those things, what happens is you get a disruption in the performance reporting, the cost basis that you don't know about, and just the whole process changes for the client. I could just see some of our older clients sitting there saying, oh yeah, we're going to get you a new platform with new security access and new statements and different consolidated statements. That's not what they want. So one of the things I've done for years, and everybody thought I was nuts, but I always feared that the firm I was with, my broker-dealer, would get bought by somebody I didn't like. And our broker-dealer, Cetera, has gotten bought by 6 or 7 different companies. And all that's been pretty good. I mean, that's been good. But what if they sold us to XYZ, and I really didn't like XYZ? So what I have done for years is I've said, I am going to own my email address. I am going to own my Morningstar data. The key point there is from Morningstar to my database to anything I do, even the easy way could be to let the firm wants you to use their stuff, but the day you leave, all your files are theirs. I mean, we heard of a guy who said, I left yesterday, they turned off my email, but I have everything in my head. And I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, so technology is an important piece. You got to own the data.
Could it be a premium on your practice when you go and you do sell it? Well, you say, hey, I have all this data. Here's the keys to the kingdom, and it's all yours, and it's a nice, easier transition.
We'll go through that for a second. You imagine if I said, you're an outside guy trying to buy me out, and I said, well, the only way you can do this is if you go with XYZ broker-dealer because they have all the data. That's not the same sale. We're going in there and saying, if we had to do that, here's my password for Morningstar, here's my password for Redtail. We have all that, and it's just a matter of giving it over. Because the reality is what we've seen is they can't pull easily your data out of their data, okay? And that's how they're managing it as a big platform, and they do not have the capacity to pull your data.
And I bet you from compliance standpoint, FINRA is not going to say, oh, this rep's with this another broker-dealer, and I don't know this to be truth, but you're going to allow them to just move all that data from another broker-dealer? I don't think you can.
The firm had the right to own the data. Now giving it to an outside person who's not with the firm anymore, forget it. It's not
right. Yeah. So you're not using filing cabinets with paper files and everything else. Did you go into a little bit of some of the things that we've seen with older reps, and that's what their system is? That's what their CRM is a station wagon full of paper files? Or?
One of the practices we bought, he literally drove from Maryland with him and his wife in 2 cars filled with boxes, 2 Priuses. Not a lot of storage there. But
good gas mileage though.
So. And everything in the box was so old because he just kept keeping it.
They were carbon copies, I believe. I don't know if anybody knows
was some
what
of that
carbon
in
copies
there,
are, but yeah.
But he just kept keeping it year after year, and he said, okay, here it is. And we literally went through it quick and shredded most of it. It was very outdated. But that didn't help me.
And we didn't go on the roof and start throwing boxes off and shredding it to Iron Mountain or anything like that.
No,
right?
we went through it. We knew most of what was going on. You don't want to lose the cost basis. You don't want to lose the data. You want to sell your business as your business. I mean, think about it this way. All of my data is with TurboTax. You got to get it out of TurboTax. The accountant says that. That's not the same sale. I mean,
yes, it's what's on the paper and what's on the account forms, but what about all that? Who's brother to who's a brother-in-law? How are they related? Where did they work? What's their life story? How are their kids?
Well, you know what's funny about that? One of the buyouts I did, I sat there with the seller, had a tape recorder on, and we recorded some of that, and that helped. But you're not always going to get that opportunity to do that.
And here we actually create Wikipedia pages for all of our clients, so we capture all that data. So it's, again, in the database. I can go through and in 30 seconds have a pretty good qualitative data of the client and who they are and what they're about and where they've been.
And that's just on the Wikipedia, but then you go back to the real database if you still own it, which you should. that's going to get into all of it. Like, why did you do what you, and literally we have PDFs on every review. So you can go back to say, how did we get to this position here from here? Oh, I remember a rollover or a client review. It's important to have all that background.
And I think we can talk a little bit more about technology too. I mean, we utilize Asset Map. Asset Map has their whole picture on there. We keep historical files on that. We have, like you mentioned, Redtail. We use Allbridge that shows all the transactions back to 2002. We utilize Morningstar, who's downloading our data every day. That goes back to 1987, maybe 1988, of when we started
But that's why we're spending about $150,000 a year on all this stuff, which is, you know, a lot of money. But without it, I think we wouldn't have the practice we have.
Correct.
I think it's also funny when you look back, all the practices I bought, a lot of them has such bad data coming to me that I had to start them all fresh. Suddenly I come in with Asset Map, I come in with an Allbridge statement consolidating all their things, I come in with Morningstar. And I remember one of these sessions where I was actually given the opportunity to meet with the selling rep and the client. One of the clients walks out in the hallway and says, "John, I'm so glad you finally retired." That led to, as we're meeting with these clients, you know, I said, you're not getting all the business over time, it goes elsewhere. It's sort of like this. I remember one of them was like, at the first meeting, he was like, "I have this too, don't tell John." And it was a big annuity. I have a rollover for my 401k. And there was so much of that. I mean, literally one of the practices was like 50 million in assets, and at the end of the day there was another 20 in things we found. If you think you have all your clients' business after a while, I'm even seeing it now as I'm transitioning slightly out of the business. I see it now. I don't get a lot of new business. He gets all the new clients and the young people, etc. They're looking for that long relationship, and you know, that's what you want to accomplish.
Well, thank you for tuning in on this video about data, why it's important to own your data, why it's important that you hold the data here and you're going to get cut off if you just decide to walk out the door. And maybe there's a premium on a practice that actually has all the data there. We are going to have more videos on different topics, so be sure to tune in. Anything else that you'd like to add on this video before we say see ya?
No, I mean, I think there's a lot of good ideas. We're trying to put them out there for you. We know it's tough where you get your information from and how you're going to, you know, structure your buyout or transition. Hope we give you some good ideas.
Yeah, you could read 15 books, or you could listen to our videos here for 5 minutes a pop and get real world experience. So hope that's what you guys are doing. If you have any questions, let us know.
Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.